Well, hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Q&A. So today I am going to be addressing your questions about a condition called perioral dermatitis. I think that this is a long time coming. You all have been asking me for it for a long time, and I think I'm a little bit overdue. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Andrea. I'm a dermatologist. I post fun vlogs, recipe videos, and a lot of my content on my YouTube channel is on skincare reviews, and different skincare products. And I also have this Q&A on Fridays wherein I address a topic and the most frequently asked questions regarding the topic that come through in the comments section of my channel. So if this type of content is of interest to you, I encourage you to stick around for more. Alright, so perioral dermatitis is a condition that affects approximately 1% of the US population, at least. I'm not exactly sure internationally what percentage. And it seems to affect predominantly women. It's a condition characterized by small red bumps that can be painful and or itchy, most frequently located around the mouth. Hence, it's called perioral dermatitis. Additionally, it can also occur around the nose as these little red, tender, or itchy bumps, or around the eyes, in which case it falls under a broader umbrella term of periorificial dermatitis. And as I said, it's a condition that predominantly affects women, usually between the ages of 15 and 45. Men, however, can be affected. And people who develop this condition frequently report a prior history of using topical steroids to the face. And by topical steroids, I mean things like hydrocortisone cream, cortisone cream, triamcinolone, or kenalog, clobetasol, steroid creams that may be available over the counter, that you may have gotten from a pharmacy online, or that may have been prescribed to you. And in addition to a history of using steroid-containing creams on the face, it's also commonly reported in people who use inhaled steroids for, say, asthma or seasonal allergies in the nose, like a nasal spray that contains steroids in it, okay? But not everybody gives that history, so, you know, not having used any topical steroids or inhaled steroids does not mean that perioral dermatitis is out of the question for you, if you're wondering if that's perhaps something that you're dealing with. But other causative factors that play a role and are reported in association with development of this are things like kind of hormonal changes, hence probably why it's more prevalent in women and potentially can you know, wax and wane and flare cyclically. Also with oral contraceptives, this has been reported to come out. The other things that have been reported in association and are thought to be causative are use of fluorinated toothpastes, as well as cosmetic use and makeup use, and heavy foundation use in particular. Certain sunscreens can exacerbate this problem. But as far as sunscreens, the study that observed that noted that it occurred with physical sunscreens, so those containing zinc or titanium dioxide, very high SPFs, and for whatever reason that was reported, that particular report was in children. So children, yes, can develop this as well. I don't think I mentioned that. But it is while it's most common in women, children can also develop it. And another associated factor is neglecting to wash off your makeup. Can definitely contribute to this and or exacerbate it. Women who go to bed with their foundation on tend to have more stubborn cases of this because the makeup makes this problem much worse, which is why I always tell you guys to try and abandon makeup if you can embrace that trend of the natural face, because it certainly can make this problem much worse in addition to many other skin conditions, foundation in particular. And you know, everybody will want to know, well, what's a good foundation, right? That's always the question. There's there's not a good foundation, okay? I can't recommend one. They all have the potential to cause problems. There's not a magic ingredient list that would be predictive, unfortunately. So the best thing is to just skip makeup, particularly if you're suffering from this condition, because it can worsen it. Specifically, heavy foundations, as I said. The other kind of the other thing that can make perioral dermatitis worse or flare it or potentially be causative is the use of occlusive moisturizers on the face. And by occlusive, I mean moisturizers that are in ointment form, okay? So things like Vaseline, like Aquaphor, for example. These should not be on the face, particularly in people with this condition, because they're very occlusive. Okay, see, this is what it looks like, right? It comes out kind of thick and white like this, and it's making a skin shield here, right? This kind of a vehicle, an ointment, is great for dry skin on the body, but if you're dealing with perioral dermatitis, this is kind of going to trap everything there and just kind of make it angry underneath. So these type of moisturizers, occlusive moisturizers on the face, can exacerbate perioral dermatitis. Okay, there was one small study that also showed that moisturizers contain the vehicle isopropyl myristate, I'll list that down below, were potentially problematic. You know, I bring this to your attention because I get a lot of questions like, is paraffin bad? Is, petrolatum bad? No, these are not bad ingredients. These are not ingredients to be demonized. But when they're present in high concentrations to make something occlusive as an ointment, it's too much, oftentimes for the pore dense areas of the face, the oil-bearing glands of our face. It's too much. It's too much occlusion at that high level, and it can contribute to worsening rashes. And many people think that it's clogging their pores, but it's really not, because perioral dermatitis is almost an acne-like appearing rash, but it's not acne. It's not, zits. It's not clogged pores. It's really an inflammatory skin condition that's quite different, okay? And that occlusion, while the moisturizer isn't, necessarily deadly, it can't breathe, okay, with that on there. So do know that heavy moisturizers, Pond's cold creams left on the face have been reported to be problematic in this condition, okay? Just because they're too occlusive and the skin needs a little breathing room, okay? So they're not bad moisturizers. They're not ingredients to be terrified about, but if you have this condition, you want to avoid leaving things like that on your face. And many people ask me, how do I know if I have perioral dermatitis? Well, my recommendation to you would definitely be to go see a dermatologist for evaluation and subsequent management, because there are many skin conditions that look like acne, look like perioral dermatitis, look like these things, with very subtle differences, and they each have different treatments. So it's really important to get an accurate diagnosis rather than try and self-treat something that you could be totally wrong about, okay? But classically, perioral dermatitis, we're just talking about around the mouth here, it can be, for the most part, it occurs on both sides. However, it can occur on just one side. But it tends to really spare the skin just around the borders of the lips, okay? So there's like a little halo between your actual mouth and then the skin around it, where the skin around it is affected, okay? So there's an area of sparing around the border of the lips, almost like a halo, okay, in perioral dermatitis. And it tends to be comprised of little clusters of 1 to 2 millimeter red papules, so red bumps, okay, that look like acne but aren't the same as acne, okay? Their biology is different. And the overlying skin can become dry, it can become flaky. This can itch quite a bit, and it can have a burning sensation to it as well, okay? While we don't know entirely what causes this skin condition, one of the things that is speculated is that it may be somewhat similar to a condition called rosacea. They have some similar features on biopsy, some similar clinical features, if you will, the burning, stinging sensation. In rosacea, the cheeks are often involved. In perioral dermatitis, there tends to be sparing of the cheeks. It tends to just, involve around the mouth. So that's another difference between those two. And one of the other kind of classic features of it, I mentioned there's oftentimes a history of using topical steroids or inhaled steroids. So one of the other things that people can get into a bad habit of is self-treating this condition with steroids, because the steroids actually will make it go away transiently, but they put you at quite a significant risk, because once the steroid cream is stopped, then the perioral dermatitis rebounds with a vengeance, okay? And so definitely avoid those steroid-containing creams, because they're a bad idea on the face, and on the face of somebody with perioral dermatitis in particular. Steroid creams on the face, unless prescribed by your treating healthcare provider with specific, instructions, they can have some risks associated with them, like thinning the skin, stretch marks, discoloration. So I caution you against self-treating things, particularly on the face with over-the-counter or, somebody else's prescription steroids. It can have very adverse effects on you, okay, regardless of if you have perioral dermatitis or what. I caution you guys against self-treating things on your face, particularly if you don't know what they are, with topical steroids. This can be a dangerous dance, okay, so don't do it. But perioral dermatitis is typically treated with topical antibiotics. Not so much because it's thought to be an infection. It's not. But topical and prescription antibiotics, while they target bacteria, they also have profound anti-inflammatory effects. And so we take advantage of that in dermatology and use these drugs to treat a variety of skin conditions. Perioral dermatitis being one of them. So some common creams that are prescribed are things like, clindamycin cream might be prescribed, metronidazole or metrogel cream may be prescribed. But just some general measures that you can employ to kind of help your cause. First and foremost would be to discontinue use of all cosmetics for at least the short term, few weeks, months, till things get better. No makeup, not even joking. No, I can't recommend one. They're all problematic. Certainly foundation is a real problem in this condition. Definitely skip it. And if you are somebody who is using a topical steroid surreptitiously, do know that abruptly stopping it can make this really badly. So talk to your treating healthcare provider. Say, hey, I've been using this every day. Rather than stopping it abruptly, it may be a better situation for you to kind of wean yourself off of it with the help of them, instead of just stopping it cold turkey. Just try and just wash your face with honestly just water alone for a few days. No soap. The last thing you want to do is dry out the skin barrier. I think people perceive this as acne and that they have to decontaminate the skin or scrub the skin or exfoliate it, and that actually makes this condition so much worse. If anything, just remove residua from the day with just plain water. Honestly, no oils, nothing, just plain water. Okay, just let it breathe. And then once it has cleared up, then, use a gentle kind of soap-free cleanser, and I can list some down below, but you certainly want to wait until the skin has cleared up and is not actively inflamed to start using any kind of facial cleanser again, because that can certainly make this worse. And then once you put sunscreen back into your arsenal, try and pick one that's in a liquid form or a gel form, as those tend to allow the skin to breathe a little bit more readily. Here in the U.S., sunscreens that are in more liquid and gel forms are chemical sunscreens, and they frequently have avobenzone in them. So do know that, there are sunscreens that blend into the skin really well, but there's sunscreens that people sometimes can find irritating or sting around the eyes. I will list some down below that I happen to like and be a fan of. So what is the outlook for perioral dermatitis? Well, it can, it certainly can get better and go away. That being said, it can also recur. Some people battle this off and on a continual basis for many, many years. But I think with these, kind of proactive skincare measures that I've talked about in conjunction with a treating physician who can, manage a prescription antibiotic if needed, or some other prescription cream if need be, or medication, the outlook is quite good, okay? It takes patience, and unfortunately, the burden is on you, the individual dealing with this, because, I've just told you, abandon all of your makeup, and at the end of the day, nobody wants to have a rash like this around their face. It can be incredibly alienating and really get you feeling down about yourself. And that's the last thing that I want for you guys, is to feel badly about yourselves and to have poor self-esteem. And it certainly cannot go without being said that having a skin condition like this, or any inflammatory skin condition, particularly when it's on your face, oftentimes it coincides with social isolation, feelings of poor self-esteem, depression. So if that sounds like you, there is an optimistic outlook, but don't struggle alone feeling badly about yourself. I encourage you to, talk to a counselor, develop a plan and some strategies for coping with this. Unfortunately, the burden is on you, the individual, to be proactive about not only your skin health, but your mental health as well. So that is a piece of this that I don't want you to neglect. I happen to be a fan of the app BetterHelp because it offers, easily accessible counseling at an affordable price. If you're interested in that, check the description box. I made a video on it. But I think that can be helpful if you're battling a skin condition like this, and it really can affect your life and get you feeling pretty down about yourself. And having somebody on your team, and not only somebody treating your skin disease, but having somebody helping you be proactive about your mental health while you're coping with this, it really can be incredibly beneficial. So I would encourage you to check that out as well. But yeah, that's going to conclude the Q&A this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that answered all of your questions about perioral dermatitis. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys in my next Q&A. Bye.